It's over.
Phew.
Whew. Yeah.
Way to finish. Way to
That
finish.
was a rough one.
It was struggle. Ah,
Welcome back to Maybe It's Our Fault, the first season of all-time quarterback and the last season of so many people in charge of the Green Bay Packers. I'm Jack Tomzak. That is Aaron Pankey.
I don't think it's our fault. Did you see the way Hundley played?
That is John Vitamus.
It's definitely not our fault.
I take none of the blame. What are their
They
what are
won
the Green Bay
games.
Packers-
They won games while we did a podcast, so we can't take all the blame.
What a record finally end up being.
7-9.
Don't you kind of wish it was 5-11 now?
Don't you
You
guys
wish
wish
that
you would have gotten on my bandwagon a lot earlier than you did?
Hey, John Vitamus, I've been on your bandwagon for 20-some odd years.
Well,
That's
I mean,
Go Vinny.
Rodgers
point.
came back, and I thought it was going to be the miracle in Green Bay, and he looked bad, got hurt, so it was over.
You only get so many bullets in that gun.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't tell everybody to RELAX every year. I mean, that's just not how things work.
Well, he didn't. He
Relax, the season will be over soon.
Just said it's not going to be good. He said, "I'm not going to save the season."
He
Yeah, he
did?
said that in a tone that said, "I'm going to come back and save the season."
I'm not gonna go back and save the season. Wink.
Yeah.
For those of us who don't pay attention to football, yet oddly enough do a professional football podcast, can you explain the Aaron Rodgers injured reserve thing and all the teams saying he should be released by the Packers? What happened there? Please explain.
So, from my knowledge, they put in the papers to the league office to put him back on IR, and the league office accepted that. But now the other teams are saying that because a player goes on IR twice, they should have to be released by that team.
Not necessarily twice. The sticking point that other teams are bringing up is that they put him on the IR twice with the same injury. It is not a fresh injury. And everybody knows what the Packers were trying to do. But, and yes, the league allowed it to happen. So that's partially on the league for accepting that paperwork. But, if you're just trying to clear up a roster spot so you can get Joe Callahan on the active roster, don't play Clay Matthews for the last 2 games. Put him on IR. Don't play Nick Perry the last 2 games. Like, it doesn't matter. You aren't going to play Jordy Nelson.
Can you explain to me what you're saying and why what the Packers did? Why can't you put a player back on the IR list for the same injury? What are they afraid of? Why does this rule exist?
The rule exists because when they originally allowed teams to have an injured reserve list, teams would just stash a player that wouldn't fit on their practice squad or weren't going to clear waivers to get to their practice squad. So they would make up some dummy injury just to keep a kid on IR so that nobody else could have any access to him to be able to claim him.
Okay.
So an up-and-coming superstar or top player that you don't want to lose.
Right.
So do you guys think that the league should have made the Packers release Aaron Rodgers?
No,
I do.
that would be too drastic a move by a league that's already having image problems.
Where would he have gone? Where would Aaron Rodgers have gone?
It would have been a waiver claim process, so Cleveland Browns would have taken him. He would not have been a free agent.
Wouldn't that have made certainly football in Cleveland more exciting? If holy cow,
I may have become a Browns fan if that happened.
Paulie Dishler was.
I think Paul's head would have exploded.
But I don't like it when they have rules that don't apply to everybody. If you're going to have a rule, enforce the rule.
You're going to see the rule rewritten this offseason. But I do think that was the last straw that broke Ted Thompson's career back.
I agree. That was another move.
So who's gone? Who's still in the Green Bay Packers organization? Updates me.
So far we know Thompson has switched to a new role. We know that Dom Capers is out.
Switching to the role of unemployed coach.
Unemployed. And the D-line coach and the linebacker coach is also out. Now, I watched the Mark Murphy press coverage, and they said that Ted and him had a joint discussion over it. Ted's heart is in scouting players. He still wants to scout. And they mutually made this decision to move him to senior operations. This has happened for other teams before, but I think it's new for us because we don't normally have changeover at that spot. And Mark Murphy said he is going to be conducting the GM search. They got a lot of good internal candidates, and they're also going to go outside. They have a consultant firm also helping with that, but he's going to be the one making the decision. He also said that the GM will have final call on draft picks, free agency, who the head coach is. But then you also notice that Mike McCarthy is still the coach and got an extension. So we'll have to see how that unfolds.
All right, I want to cover a couple of things here. Just first
John,
of all,
John,
yeah.
your beard looks nice.
Hey, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. Ted Thompson being transitioned to a new role, I think that role should have been changed to cleaning the locker room because of all the crap that he put in it. The Mike McCarthy extension doesn't bother me. I don't know if any of that money is guaranteed, so there's nothing to saying that he's actually going to get paid in 2019. Right. I think all that extension does is buy whoever you bring in to be your next general manager time to make a decision while removing the lame duck status of Mike McCarthy.
Exactly.
And not putting a new GM in a position where he has no coach and might be late to the party to get one.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, but I think that even if the new GM decides he wants to roll with McCarthy for at least another year, he can bring in coordinators and say, "Look, I'm going to be here for a while." I'm not sure anybody's going to believe him, but he can say it.
And does a coordinator take a job situation where they don't know who the head coach is going to be, or they don't know who a year from now the head coach is going to be?
Yeah, because I think you're in an optimal spot. I mean, the GM job is really a ripe, juicy peach, however you want to call it, because you don't have an owner that's going to breathe down your back. You have Aaron Rodgers. So it's ideal for a GM. Now, the internal candidates, if they move up, I would think that maybe McCarthy has a better chance of staying. If you go outside and get somebody, it's possible he doesn't. I think it will probably be, my prediction is, will be somebody related to the Packers in the past or currently. I don't think they'll go with a new player or a new coach or GM from somewhere else that's brand new, bringing in new ideas. When I think about that, I think about Seattle's situation. Their GM, I just feel like Seattle is about to implode, and some of their players aren't playing. So it just may be a fresh start for Seattle over there. The other one, and that's John Dorsey. The other one is Reggie McKenzie. John Schneider. Sorry. Dorsey's already at the Browns. Schneider, yep. And then at the Raiders, Reggie McKenzie could be the two other outside candidates.
Now, I would prefer them to look at outside candidates, and obviously I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. I mean, clearly,
as you
I'm
should.
I'm going to get an interview tomorrow, so don't worry about it. I think if you go that route and you bring back a John Schneider or you bring back a Reggie McKenzie or you promote somebody within the organization, you are making it very difficult for an organization that doesn't like to fire people anyway to fire. Like, you don't hire somebody you can't see yourself firing. And look, Ted Thompson lasted probably 4 years longer than he was supposed to.
Agreed. I mean, let's give him credit, though.
But that's the problem.
He did.
That's the problem. That's the problem the Packers have without having an owner that has an ego that will be able to fire somebody if they're not doing their job right. You have to clear it through 45 board of directors, 45-member board of directors to be able to fire Ted Thompson.
Well,
because you have to pay that guy. You're going to have to pay Ted Thompson, and you're going to have to pay the new guy. So,
but there's plenty of money coming in out of that place. I don't think we have to worry so much at that spot.
So does the new GM start spending that money on players? One would certainly hope so.
I mean, they can just print more money. So I don't think it's a worry for them.
Are you going to buy another share of stock?
Who wouldn't?
I'd buy one.
Who wouldn't?
Oh my God.
I'd buy one.
I wouldn't.
I missed it last time. I'd do it.
Yeah,
I most definitely would not.
But anyways, I see what you're saying.
Know if me holding my microphone causes noise I can't hear.
I see what you're saying in that it's difficult to move on from that. But there's some smart minds. I mean, Seattle was built excellent. I mean, outside of recently, they haven't spent any money on their offensive line, but he built a Super Bowl team. At Reggie McKenzie, they were on the cusp of going to the Super Bowl. So I have faith in those guys to do the same thing here.
But I don't think – see, I think that the Packers is – obviously you can say this now because the Seattle has fallen apart and mostly due to injuries this year. But, like, yes, John Schneider drafted well in Seattle, and they got him to a Super Bowl. And actually, but now you're starting to pay those players, and you're running into the same problem that the Packers have now anyway. So if you're, everything's all fine and good when your quarterback's making $720,000, but when you start paying him $23 million, it becomes a different story. And I don't know that John Schneider can step into the Green Bay Packers paying Aaron Rodgers probably in the future $27 million, and still be able to fill a roster. But
Agreed.
I think but Aaron Rodgers is, as good as he is part of the problem in roster construction in Green Bay. Because he's not, he's never going to take the huge hometown discount that a guy like Tom Brady can take, because Tom Brady makes millions and millions more in endorsements.
But he may, depending on what's built around him. I mean, Rodgers is probably feeling, you're not giving me great stuff to play with. And that's evident in the way that they played with Hundley. And so he may just say, well, if you're not going to pay anybody else.
Yeah. And maybe they do that if you bring in a GM that is going to bring in outside free agents. He may say, I'll take a pay cut if you give, throw money at a wide receiver at an offensive line or something. Yeah.
Sure.
I've always thought, why don't big players take the pay cut to get a better team around them? I've never had millions and millions of dollars to give away that way, so what the hell do I know? But I would think that, at least in my perfect little world, where toward the end of his career, a guy wants to go win in Super Bowl, so he would make that financial sacrifice. But again, that's a whole other world that I don't.
But I do think it's easier for a guy to make that sacrifice once he has won a Super Bowl. I think it's harder to see a guy doing that. It's harder. Wait, I don't know if I said that right. It's harder to see a guy sacrificing the money
because he's already got one.
If he already has one, I'm not chasing a ring anymore. I'm just going to collect as much money as I can. I've already got.
Well, there's only one guy that's doing this. And it's Brady. I mean, and they've been consistent. So,
and that's not a coincidence. But means it's not a coincidence.
Situation, right? But
Seems
nobody else has been in that situation to be able to do that.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Now let's talk about the defensive coordinator. There is some discussion that I saw from reporters that the players really like the cornerback coach, and even Charles Woodson endorsed him, if that means anything. But McCarthy's going to have to do a search, and he's going to have to do it pretty quickly to find somebody. You guys heard anything?
But does he – I have not heard anything, but my question would be, does he have the authority to hire somebody before they get a GM in there?
Yeah.
They said that Thompson will still act as the GM, and Murphy will –
How is that good for anyone?
Help make all those – well, Murphy's going to help make all those decisions if need be, he said. So if they come up with somebody quickly, he'll help make that deal happen.
You guys remember when Conan O'Brien got the Tonight Show, and then Jay Leno got a show right before the Tonight Show?
Yep.
And Conan O'Brien couldn't really launch into his own thing because Jay Leno was still around.
Yeah.
I'm not sure having the old GM around, period, is a good idea.
I think that transition is merely a byproduct of Ted Thompson having one more year left on his contract.
Yeah.
I think that's the better way to not fire him, but still fire him.
So they pay him for this year instead of paying him whatever thing he's got in his contract if he gets fired?
Yeah. Yep.
Are you surprised that, I mean, we hoped for this. If this was what
hope is the right word.
Well, I don't know about
you'd rather have them go 9-7, 10-6, and get into the playoffs.
Sure, we wanted that, but you were sort of on the bandwagon. We talked earlier about if things went sour to go and fire coaches. I mean, I think there was a nude
erection.
And I get your point about McCarthy, but same thing. Are you surprised that he didn't get let go at all?
I am surprised, but I also think that he should know, but he should be by no means celebrating the fact that he gets to keep his job, because it may only last 2 or 3 more days. I mean, truth be told, he could be out of a job tomorrow.
So a new GM gets to make that decision.
Yeah,
Mark Murphy said that's cool, and
yep. So depending on who they bring in to be the GM, McCarthy will have to re-interview for his job once they hire somebody. And I would hope, as an organization, they hire a GM sooner rather than later, because they've probably got the most important draft of 15, maybe 20 years coming up for them. They shouldn't ever pick in the teens again as long as Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback.
Exactly. And what do they have? They have, is it 14?
I didn't 13? Look at the order, but it's got to be somewhere in there.
There's a coin flip, I think, with Washington to see.
Okay.
Some other things that happened. Adams got a contract extension, and so did Lindsley got a contract extension. Do you see any other players that we may love now, not on the team next year?
I think you pick one between Cobb and Nelson. Probably Nelson, because he's got fewer years left on his contract, but I don't see they're going to have to shake that up. You can't pay 3 guys that kind of money to be wide receivers that aren't good without Aaron Rodgers.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're both gone.
That's a possibility, yeah. Yep.
I mean, I think we have a running back.
I think they got a strong committee. Yeah, I think they've got a solid 1-2.
I don't know if Ty Montgomery comes back as the running back.
I wouldn't. But if you're going to cut Randall Cobb, you could always put Montgomery back in the slot.
Yeah. Got to get a tight end.
Yeah, but it feels like we've been saying that for 10 years.
No.
So I don't know how big a priority that is in a Mike McCarthy offense, even though they always say, well, we want to run out of 2 tight end sets as much as possible. And then they don't have any ever.
Weird. That's a trick play.
Does
tight end, 2 tight end.
Does Huntley leave?
Where?
Yeah. Where's he going?
Depot?
I mean, he doesn't have any value, right? I mean, team would.
No.
I wouldn't say let's get him.
No, if he gets a job somewhere, it's going to be as a 3rd-string quarterback development guy. But you've already proven that he can't develop over 2.5 years, 3 years. There's nobody that's going to be shopping around to be a primary backup, let alone a starter.
Yeah, he was so bad in those last 2 games. Gosh,
he had 2 good games. That's it.
One was against the Browns, right?
That one was a good one, and the Steeler game was a good one.
Oh, yeah, the Steeler game was good.
Yep.
All right. I think we should reconvene. I think we should still have our show during the playoffs and Super Bowl and comment on the football that is happening and the developments in the Packers organization. But I leave that up to the committee. But I've got playoff thoughts.
Ooh. Current playoff thoughts?
Current playoff thoughts. Speaking to Packer Nation, if the Vikings end up winning the Super Bowl and Vikings fans try to throw that in your face, don't pull the, yeah, but you lost 4 or we've got more. Just say, huh, and then keep walking. Don't give them the satisfaction of knowing that it bothers you. Say, huh, look at that.
I don't think
then back to whatever you were doing.
I would be
You're
surprised.
You're not a Packer fan, John, but
I'd be surprised if they won. I don't think they're built for it this year.
I had on Up and Adam, my daily podcast, have an elderly gentleman who's clearly lost his marbles, saying that the Vikings are guaranteed Super Bowl winners because they aren't the jerks that team used to be, and they didn't back into the playoffs.
They don't have a playoff quarterback.
They're a dumb fan base, guys. They're a real dumb fan base over here. They don't. You should see them drive. It's not.
They
good.
don't have a playoff quarterback.
Well, I don't think they have a good playoff offense because they don't. I mean, I think their defense is Super Bowl caliber. I don't think their offense.
Agree.
Yeah.
So, in your dispassionate view, you don't think the Vikings are gonna go all the way? Or win all the way.
I'm in one of the NFC South teams.
Yeah.
Breeze, Falcons, or Saints, Falcons, or Carolina.
Okay, good.
Okay, good.
Because I don't know enough about football. I really hate the Vikings organization a lot. And I can't see the people. I couldn't handle the people I live around being smug for an entire year. I couldn't do it. I just can't. It hurts.
I have a family full of Cubs fans. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So, should we wrap it up? Any predictions for the next week? Any predictions for now next year? We're not done with this season. We're coming back, fans.
Coming back.
I wouldn't say your fans. People who listen are coming back.
Very few. Very few.
Yeah.
Get more. Tell your friends.
Thanks for downloading anyway.
Yep.
No, I don't.
Is Mike McCarthy the head coach of the Green Bay Packers?
Yes.
I'll say yes because I don't think they will have hired a GM by then.
Will we have a new D coordinator in a week?
No.
Of the people that you guys mentioned, do they have a relationship with Mike McCarthy?
Yeah.
I don't know if they go to his house for Thanksgiving, if that's what you're asking.
No, but all of them have or still do work with McCarthy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And
So
I'm not sure that's good or not. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, for all we know, Elliot Wolf has been with the Packers organization for 10 years and has despised everything that Mike McCarthy's done. So you never know. I mean, it's not like everybody in this state has been all over his bandwagon since they won the Super Bowl anyway.
This is Ron Wolf's son?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he have the magic?
I don't know. Everybody calls him the protege. I don't know.
Well, if his first move is to sign Reggie White and get the backup quarterback from Atlanta, I think we've seen that one before.
It worked out well.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Should we wrap it up?
Yep.
I'm sad. Team sucked. I'm not sad. I wish I was sad.
But look at the bright side. They'll get to play an easier schedule next year.
That's right.
There we go.
We can talk about the schedule next week.
Yeah.
Ooh, next week on All-Time Quarterback Schedule. I'm Jack Tomzak.
I'm Aaron Pankey.
I am John Vitamus. Have a great week, everybody.
Enjoy the playoffs.
Have a great week.